We are fucking back. This indie life is back. I'm back on Twitter, and it's time to have fun again, guys. So, there's going to be a couple changes. Most noticeable one is James is gone. We realized that basically he doesn't listen to my updates and I don't listen to his. Like, we're just like two selfish jerks, doing an update after another. And it felt kind of empty in a way. So he basically wanted to take a break from it. So for a while, we wondered, should we continue this podcast? And he kept pushing me to do it alone because he thought I could do something with it. He had so much work to do on the side. And you know how it was important to him to find stability. And at first I was really scared of doing it without him. But it's been a couple of weeks now and I got some new ideas for the pod. And I'm actually very excited for it. Basically, I quit my job and the only revenue I have is my Twitter course, which still brings $500 a month. And I need to bring $4,000 a month to survive. So I have 8 months of unemployment benefits from this crazy French system that we have that is awesome. I have 8 months to figure out how am I going to make money and how am I going to make $4,000 a month. For a while, I thought I'm going to build another startup. But you know what? I don't really want to. I don't want to start a startup again. I don't want to have to do this whole grind of finding product market fit, trying new ideas, and hoping one day I get successful. I'm tired of it already. I went through that for 5 years with my own startup, with my ex-wife. And now, and even with my job, I was working for a startup for 8 months. And we were, again, fighting against, the uphill battle and just trying to get revenue and getting customers and finding product market fit. And I'm so exhausted and tired of that shit, man. So I have 8 months to make $4,000 a month. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to double down on this podcast, 1 episode a week, take sponsors, trying to make money from that. I'm going to finish the book I started writing about all the mistakes I made with my startup the first time and start selling it. And I'm going to update my Twitter course to update it to be how to dominate X, which sounds pretty pornish, but I think it's cool. And I think with everything, I can get back up to at least $4,000 a month, hopefully more than that. But basically in my next few months, my focus is survival. I want to go back to indie hacking full time and I don't want to have to leave for a job again. So my focus is survival and make money. And the quickest path for me is content, podcast, my book, and my courses. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's why this podcast will be weekly now. Now, another change that's going to happen is I was wondering, is it going to be boring if I just do a solo podcast? People told me you should have guests, and people told me, oh, you could try solo. And I want to do both. I actually don't enjoy podcasts where it's only guests and basically the host is just the host. And he doesn't talk about his shit. But I want to share my journey. You know how much I love sharing my journey, even the dirty and very dark side of it. That's really what I love. I was one of the first to really be yeah, I burnt out. My health is shit. And then I'm going to divorce my wife and it's terrible. And people really resonated with that. And the reason I think people resonate with that is that, when you go on social media, all you see is success stories. All you see is that, the very good and successful founders, for example, Peter Levels is going to share his new success thing. And, he's so amazing at it. That's very inspiring. That's very cool. But also eventually, that's cool. But you see so many founders just do that. They just talk about the positive. And what happens when you only talk about the positive, at least for me, is I open Twitter and I feel like shit. I feel like shit. And not just Twitter, any social platform. LinkedIn is even worse. But you just open these places where you are supposed to be in community, you're supposed to be social with other friends on the same journey as you, other indie makers and shit. And what happens is you'll only see people with success stories. Since my burnout, so many founders have reached out to me and I talk with them about their own struggles. And the reason I'm so excited to come back to this podcast is I already lined up basically 5 guests who are big indie makers. I have Marie from Llama Life, who literally an hour ago, I was on the phone with her. And because she's thinking she might burn out and she thought she could talk to me about it. because it's very stressful. Because like, even though she has success with her app and she has like thousands of users and paying users and she's like doing well, she started hiring, she can't handle everything, and she's spending most of her time doing shit that she doesn't like accounting and shit. And so she ends up feeling bad, and it's very stressful. Then I talked to Nico, the guy who does talk notes, and other French guy. And he basically told me that for the past 2 years, he basically lost sleep. Like, he's so stressed out about having 2 or 3 days in a row without new income, without new sales, that he just like loses sleep over it. And he started losing his fitness because like he's pretty built, like he looks pretty athletic, but he stopped working out for like a couple years because of the stress. And that's exactly what I've been through. I used to work out and weight lift 1 hour a day. And 3 years ago, I stopped because I was so stressed about my startup. So anyway, I'm talking with many indie founders or indie creators, because it's not just about startup. It's also like creating content and all these ways you can be indie and building your solo business. And like, most of us are going through very dark shit. Like, most of us are like struggling. And so once I started connecting with them, it made sense. Like, I'm not going to do a pod with just interviews, and I'm just going to do a pod with just solo episodes. What I'm going to do is every week, I'm going to either interview a founder about the difficult bits of entrepreneurship, or I'm going to share with you like a deep thought or deep reflection that I had about the same thing. But the focus is the same. Every week, we're going to talk about the things that most people don't talk about. We're going to talk about what's stressful, what's giving us anxiety, what's making us afraid, and like also the impact on our personal life, like my divorce and shit. Or like Nico was telling me how he now is in a relationship, but it only works because it's like long distance. So because of that, he can kind of like manage it. But if he was living with like a girlfriend or something, he wouldn't be able to, because like he's so focused on his indie business and it's like consuming his entire life. So like all of this shit, man, that is so stressful and that nobody talks about. This Indie Life podcast now, this is going to be the focus. Sometimes it's going to be just me. Sometimes we're going to have guests. It really doesn't matter. What matters is we're all in this together, and we're going to like really regroup. And I want to be like a community. I want us to be a community of founders and like creators, and not just people trying to share wins on Twitter and get likes, like we're all in this together. So let's kind of like be honest and authentic about it all together, and share everything. So that's really the goal of this pod. And so with the same idea, I have opened up the Hindi hotline. So if you go to indielifepod.com, you see a link for the Hindi hotline in the header, in the main navigation. And you can basically send me anything that you want. So you can record an audio or a video of yourself. I'm not paying for the form thing yet, so you are limited to 10 megabytes uploads. So try to be concise. Once I make more than 500 a month, I will pay for the upgrade, so you guys can send 1 gigabytes videos if you want. But just a heads up. You can also send potentially a text, question. Whatever, but like it can be a question, it can be anything basically. If you have something on your mind, something bothering you, you can even do something anonymously if you want. I will need you to send me your real information so I can verify that it's true, but I will add a checkbox so you can like share anonymously if you don't want anyone to know who you are or whatever. But if you're going something through with like your life as an indie creator, whatever it is, like if it's something in your personal life, if it's something with your business, or even if it's a win, because it's not about being depressing, it's about just being real. So it can be anything that matters to you. Go ahead, record yourself, send me something. And in the next solo episode, I will kind of like, listen to the messages, and I will show them to everyone, and then I will react to it and start to like use it as a talking point. So you can do that. And the last thing is we're going to take sponsors, because now that I'm very clear that I'm going to focus on content creation, tired of startups, I just want to be indie and do my business for now. It makes sense that, I need to make money with this pod. I used to think, if you guys have been following for a while, you know that James and I used to have a fight about having sponsors. I didn't want them and he wanted them. And the reason why I didn't want them is like, it felt dirty. Because at the time, the goal of this pod was really, I just wanted to get some free promotion for my startup logology. I wanted to use it at this opportunity. But and I felt like it was kind of dirty and like I don't want to like give people the impression that I'm in this for the money. I want to look like this pure founder, so people just have like a better opinion on me, and then they just go to my website and buy my products because I'm so virtuous and shit. But I burnt out and I realized it was the stupidest thing to not take money or anything. Like, this is a business, guys. Obviously, I'm not going to take sponsors that I'm not inspired by. I only want like apps and like products that I really feel like I love and that you guys could love. So I'm going to be very transparent about it. And I'm going to use like the usual very real and authentic tone that you know me for. Like, I'm not going to bullshit anybody, but I'm going to admit, like, man, I gotta make money. So yeah, this pod, starting to get a pretty big audience. We're like at 750 people listening. If you take into account people on Twitter and because I post the full episode now on Twitter, and people from all the platforms and YouTube, we're at about 750 per episode. So that's not bad. And I'm like, let's make some money. Like, I need to make some money. I need to be sustainable. I don't want to go back to a job again. Let's be sustainable. But like, and so I told James that because I was like, dude, like, if we make money, like if I get sponsors, like maybe you can come back. And he was like, yeah, maybe. Like, he really doesn't want to do it anymore. So like, even money couldn't bring him back in. So, I guess he has his own journey, but we'll see. He might come back, or like, we will see in the future what happens. But anyway, yeah, the last thing is we're getting sponsors. And yeah, I guess that's it for like, kind of like the summary of what's going to happen. And now to be a bit more in depth about my update. So, as you know, I had burnt out, in February 2023, massive burnout, led me to meditate a lot, figure out, what had gone wrong. I then also realized the problem was also in my personal life and my relationship with Lucy. So I had ended up divorcing her. It's still like in process, but I think the divorce should be like official in like 2 or 3 months or something. Since then, because I was so unable to work on my startup or like anything or Twitter, that was very challenging for me to go back to Twitter because it's so exciting. And for me, that was just making my heart rate go way too fast. So I had to stop, literally, like physically, I had to stop. So because I couldn't do anything with my indie business, I had to go back to a job. So end of June 2023, I went back to a job. What happened is it was kind of like the perfect job for where I was at. Like, I was basically a product manager at a startup in Paris, but I was working fully remotely. So I was working from my apartment in Lille, making a good salary, and also accumulating the unemployment benefits, from the French government that is very useful in our situation. So that is something I knew I was doing too, So I was taking this job also because I know I was building up to that to eventually come back if I wanted to. And so I spent basically 3 months that were really cool. I mean, no, 6 months that were really cool. I was really into the product. They gave me so much responsibility. They trusted me. They really liked me. There wasn't that much pressure. I could do some marketing for their app. I could do some also product for their app. I could do basically anything I wanted. They just supported me. They just wanted me to help their startup grow. But then eventually I moved out of my place with Lucy. And that was a very challenging time because like once I broke up with her and I moved out, I didn't have a new place. I literally spent 2 months hopping off Airbnbs in my city, like in my hometown of Lille, France. So by the way, if you want to come visit, I can tell you where the good Airbnbs are because I basically spent like 2 months just like hopping from one to the next. I also had a good friend who helped me, so that was really cool, because sometimes I literally couldn't like go to an Airbnb and I had to go somewhere. So I had a friend that was awesome, really helpful. And during that time, I really rebuilt myself. I also started going to a co-working space, local, that is very awesome because it's a lot of entrepreneurs and digital kind of like creators. So it also helped me have relationships in real life because it's awesome to have friends on Twitter and social media, but like, even though it's real friends, and I know because when I connect with people, I see we have built a real friendship. I mean, when it's in real life, it has a better impact on my health, I noticed. Like, just like now I go to this place like 3 or 4 times a week. We do like kind of like a party together every couple of weeks. Like, we're going to karaoke next week, for example. And it's like, wow, real life, man, real friends, people you can eat lunch with, go to parties with. And that is just the best. So yeah, basically, I spent all of this time, away from Twitter and away from everything, rebuilding my health, rebuilding my social circle, making friends, having sex too. I started having sex again. I mean, I was having sex with Lucy, but like having sex with a new person after like 13 years, like it's also something that's kind of like, wow, this is kind of like new. So like that was something that I went through that was also kind of like helping me move on. And also a last thing is, um, eventually I found my own place. So once all of that was done, and that was very recent, like I only moved out to my own place on January 8th. And, then it took me a while to like kind of like get set up. And then I took like 1 week of paid vacation with my job. I have to mention paid vacation because it's so amazing to have paid vacation when you're indie. I'm paid in vacation. It doesn't make any sense, but like, that was that. And that was, I think, end of January, early February that I took this week off. And I had finally started to settle. I was really moving on from, from breaking up with my wife. I had really started really grieving on everything and I was feeling better about it. And also, I had rebuilt some financial savings. I had started, and I think end of January is when I officially unlocked unemployment benefits because it takes you 6 months of work to unlock them. And then you have like 1 month of unemployment benefit for every month you worked. So if you leave after 6 months, you get 6 months. If you leave after 8 months, you get 8 months. If you leave after 2 years, you get 2 years. But I think now they limit it to a year and a half. But basically, between 6 months and a year and a half, you're going to get 1 day of unemployment benefit from 1 day of work. So once I unlocked that, I had some savings. I was moving on from my past relationship. I had some friends again. I have my own place, which I love. Maybe one day I'll give you a tour, but like, this is my new couch. I love this couch. It's so comfortable. Like, you guys should try it. But anyway, I have my own place. It's awesome. And so I took this week break and I was still pretty involved in the startup. Like, I was working at like in this job at this time. But then after taking this break, I just slept so much and I just stayed here, like, and I just slept in my amazing $3,000 bed that I told you about a couple of times because I got to keep the bed. Lucy has the shitty sofa. I got the bed, but she got the TV. So, that's the game. Anyway, but I can't watch TV anymore because of my fucked up eye since the burnout. So I kind of win. No, I'm just kidding. But, we made it very fair and very balanced. So it's all good. I'm just joking. But yeah, so after this week of vacation, I was like, I'm ready. I was like, okay, I'm cool. I'm coming back. There's no need for me to be doing this job. Like it was awesome. It was kind of like a recovery job, but I'm mostly recovered now. Let's fucking go. I don't want to waste any minute not doing something I love fully. So it was a cool job, but it's not my vision. It's not my product. I can't do everything I want. So that's not what I want. And I kind of got addicted to how real it is to be indie. Like, even though I burnt out and it was so fucking tough, man, the reality of it, I love the taste, of reality. The taste of you're naked. You're basically naked and it's cold and it's raining on your face and there's like a tiger looming and you're like, you gotta make it. Like, and this thrill, man, I'm addicted to this thrill. Let's be honest. Like, to me, this is like the only way to live. This is only real life. So I had to come back, So eventually I talked to my boss about it. And my plan was, I don't know, I had this idea that they really needed me. So I thought, okay. And I had made so many plans for their products to change the product. I had set a lot of things in motion because, again, they gave me a lot of responsibility. And I had set this big plan to kind of like revamp the product. And by the summer, we would have like a new version and new marketing and everything would be awesome. And I was very invested in that. But then after this week off, I was like, I need to leave, because even though it's awesome, it is not my real life. And so I brought it up to my boss saying, I really don't want to let you guys down, but I'm going to leave. So what I offer is that I can stay for like 3 to 6 months. So we can see the project through, and I don't leave like an asshole like in the middle of it. And in my head he was gonna think, oh, okay. In my head he was gonna convince me to stay. And and he said, oh no, I don't give a shit, you can go in 2 weeks. And so that was such a blow to my ego. I'm like, wait, I'm not like, you don't like me? Like, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And but I actually, he wasn't mean about it. He was actually very nice, and he said, no, but like, it happened to me before, and like, I know when you're already thinking of the future, you're not really in this anymore. Like, it's already over, and like, you're not gonna be 100%. And I don't want somebody who's not 100%. So no hard feelings, but like, just fucking leave, And I was like, and I was kind of like, he kind of like swept the rug under my feet, right? Because my plan involved having 3 more months of salary, at least maybe 6, and therefore 3 more months of unemployment benefits, or So my whole plan was kind of like thrown out, but like, I slept on it, and that was like 3 weeks ago, and then I was like, that's awesome. I was like, I'm ready. Like, it's okay. Like, it's a little bit like the cold shower is a bit colder than I wanted, but it's cool. I wanted to take a cold shower anyway. I wanted to go out. I wanted to try again. So I am good. So yeah, and also a couple of people told me, but aren't you scared of burning out again? And I am, which I think is a good thing, because last time I wasn't. I was literally working 70 hours a week, and like, I can't burn out. Now I'm like, I can burn out. I know. So I am scared of it, yes. But at the same time, I'm noticing one thing. The reason why I burnt out, one of the big reasons I burnt out last time, is that I was pulled in 2 different directions all the time. I had to be on social media all the time, go viral every day, kind of like grow big, and like this whole kind of like community thing, connecting with others, like engaging with others, like, and on the other side, I had to build an entire product, which is like being heavily focused, have like very clear ideas, and like, these 2 ways of thinking are so opposite. I was struggling with context switching. Always switching context was impossible for me. I cannot do it. And, so that was that. And another thing that was happening is that there was Lucy and I, so my ex and I, and because there's 2 of us, we had to create a legitimate company to partner, so it's like official. And because of that, in France, you have way more taxes when you do that. So basically, to just make a basic living, the 2 of us, we had to make 10K a month in revenue. But now that I'm alone, to make a basic living, I don't even need to make 5K a month. I have to make 4K a month. Because I'm alone, like, life is a bit more expensive. Like, my place, like a place for 1 person is more expensive than a place for 2, cut in half, But because I'm alone, I can have what is called the auto entrepreneur status, which is kind of like freelancer. And it means I have less taxes on revenue. So with 4K a month, I live perfectly good, the same as when I would make 10K a month with Lucy on Logology. And the thing is, I was the one responsible for bringing the money. She was doing all the logo and design work, but like, I had the pressure on my shoulder to like bring the money and bring the customers every month, starting from 0 and having to go to 10K every month. That was so hard, man. Plus having to do social media product. Plus our relationship wasn't as fulfilling to me as I like to believe so back then. So there was all of this tension and all of this pressure. So a lot of things, piled up to make me burn out. And now I need to make only 4K a month and not 10. I don't have the pressure that I used to feel in my relationship. I am feeling way lighter. And, I am going to focus on only one thing. I'm going to focus on content creation with podcast. I'm also starting a newsletter. Please subscribe. It's going to be about a deep thought about entrepreneurship every week, my best meme of the week, and like a small update about my journey. You go to my Twitter profile and you can see the link in my bio to the newsletter. But anyway, I'm only going to do content now. I mean, I don't know for how long. I might start a startup again eventually. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, as I said earlier, right now I'm tired of startups, tired of SaaS. Just want to survive, just want to make some good money with things that are easy for me. So I'm going to do podcast, Twitter, also diversifying on other social platforms. You can find me on all of them if you want. The newsletter, and that's it. Like I'm gonna and write a book, but like everything is about content creation. Everything is the same kind of thing. It's not like coding and product and marketing. It's only one thing. It's only writing, thinking, and connecting with people. So like to me, that's way easier. So that's my update of the week, or more so like of the last 6 months. But stay tuned for more. I'm very happy to be back. I hope you guys are happy too. Again, if you have things you want to share, you go to the Hindi hotline on the website, or you just send me something on Twitter. Just send me a DM. Even if I don't follow you, I will see it because I'm going to check my inbox. So don't hesitate to write to me. We can talk about all this stuff. Or you can also leave a comment under the tweet of this podcast if you're watching it on Twitter. But yeah, that's it for me. Have an amazing week, everyone. And I'll see you next week. And I think next week will going to be a first episode with a guest. So I don't know who it's going to be yet, but we're going to talk about all the dark side of entrepreneurship and being indie. And I'm very excited for it. And I hope you are too.